shout out to Hoop Jargon, man. I'm gonna add you to the crew, man. This crew called Hoop Jargon. They've been getting at it, man. They the ones that's gonna grill you, man, because they majority are all Houston people. So that's
shout out to Hoop Jargon.
Man, I'm here with my man with Hoop Jargon, the best in the game, man. And you know I only live selected few in my circle. And this is a real dude right here. We gonna get down with the get down.
Shout out to Hoop Jargon, man. Appreciate everybody joining in on the stream. Before I get into the content, I forget on these live streams. I'll be slacking on my macking, slipping on my pimping. If you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe on the videos. They help a lot. They really do. And it's free 99. I will charge you nothing to like the content. Well, let's get into it, man. So, Brittney Griner. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Brittney Griner. Brittney Griner, so sorry. She's gotten herself in a little tiff, man. So I'm gonna go through what exactly this entails. Because a lot of people reporting on it, but they're half-ass reporting on it. And I kind of want to give you a thorough rundown of what's really going on and what she's really facing. Which, in my opinion, she's facing some very dire charges. And so I'm not cammed up again because my light is messed up and I'm at work. So you guys are getting Icon Hoop Jargon today. So it's all good. But so, Brittney Griner, and I got to say this, guys. This is a athlete that I have an affinity for because she's from Houston. And not only is she from Houston, like me, she's from the same school district I'm from, which is Aldine Independent School District. So she went to Nimitz, I went to Eisenhower. So these were more or less rival schools in the same district. So I want Brittney Griner to win at every level because she represents Houston, North Houston in particular, prosperity. But I gotta say, this is a lesson that she's learning that a lot of people view as it's unfair. It ain't right. It ain't this. It ain't that. And I'm gonna lay out, life ain't fair, man. Life ain't fair. You don't get to dictate the terms of engagement in other people's countries, man. And it's something that you're gonna see that's very prevalent, in a lot of these affairs. And I'm gonna lay that out. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm at work, so I can't use my laptop. So ABC News actually posted a little segment about that. I'll play the audio talking about what's going on, and I'm going to chime in and kind of give you full scope. So without further ado, I got my assistant Alex here with me. He's going to play that for me. Without further ado, go ahead, my man.
ABC News has learned that WNBA player and two-time USA gold medalist Brittney Griner is detained in Russia for allegedly having vape cartridges in her luggage at the Moscow airport. Griner, who plays for the Phoenix Mercury, was arrested in February. The Russian Customs Service says the cartridges contained cannabis oil, which could carry a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. WNBA says their main priority is her swift and safe return to the United States. So to help us understand why Brittney Griner is there and what's happening to keep athletes safe, we're joined by Mike Cound, the president.
All right, I'm going to pause it right here. We're going to keep going. So now I want to set the backdrop of what's going on right now. So again, she's facing 10 years, and this tweet kind of encapsulates everything perfectly. That y'all got to understand, guys, in these foreign countries, they don't play that. You don't get to get away with this, liberal ideology that, oh, well, live and let live, and it's not a big deal, just weed. Okay, here we can play that game sometimes. In these other countries that are more conservative, that's not how it goes. In a communist country like Russia is, and the reason why she's in Russia, I saw some people reporting about this earlier, is because they pay better than the WNBA. So it's funny when you see guys like Chime, I'm about to butcher her last name, y'all forgive me, Omagwinke. She's from Houston too. She went to Cy Falls High School, but great basketball player, her and her sister. They say that WNBA players should get paid more, but if you look at the landscape of what the WNBA presents, it's a league that does not make money. This is not conjecture. That is true fact. The WNBA does not make money. So they talk about paying these players more, but the money has to come from somewhere. So with a lot of WNBA players do, especially the prominent ones, they go overseas to Spain, to Greece, to Russia, and they go play, and they make way more money, as this tweet depicts. So that's what she was doing over there in the first place. And as Between the Game Sports says, you got to know where you're at. You have to know your personnel, know your personal personnel. You just can't be out here being all willy-nilly. So I want to set that backdrop as we go forward. Go ahead, Alice.
Count Group Global, an organization that works with basketball players overseas. Mike, thank you for being here. Why are these athletes in Russia right now?
He's about to crystallize my point.
Everybody's out now, but they're over there earning a supplemental living in their sport in women's basketball. Almost all of them are WNBA players. Some of them are not, but they're either supplementing their income or they're making their income in Russia, Turkey, Spain, Italy, France, Hungary, the Czech Republic, several other countries.
Now, I know you helped 3 players evacuate from Russia since the start of this war. What was the process like to get them out?
Well, it went in stages. It sort of all happened real quickly after the invasion, and some of it was a personal feat.
Dante, that's a great point. Stay away from anything illegal because, again, in some countries, in particular the Middle East, alcohol can get you in jail for years. We got to understand the terms that other people go by. That's not what we do here. So you can't take your American bravado overseas and think that's going to fly. You think that you're going to get the benefit of the doubt if you're pressed. No, there's places, it's been Americans, and we're going to lay out how other Americans have had dire consequences in Russia. But in the Middle East, there's been Americans that gone over and stole something petty, got their hand chopped off, or got caned, stoned, right? Most recently, we remember LiAngelo Ball. He had a situation where he could have been jailed in China for stealing some sunglasses. It didn't happen, thank God. But that's how dire it could get of having 10 years of jail. So I would get to what I think Brittney Griner will have done to her, but I want to just keep providing context of what's going on. So go ahead, Alex.
That it's time to just get out of there, at least temporarily, because at the time that the ones I was working with got out, it was more of a temporary thing in theory, not really knowing what's about to happen. My concern was we don't know what the reaction is going to be from the people. We don't know exactly, what could happen with the banking situation. Are you going to be able to get paid? Are you going to be able to get flights out? Things along those lines. So my thing is that let's take a temporary hiatus, get home, and just sort of reevaluate after, watch the news, let's see where it goes. It's gotten worse since then. So, yeah.
And I know you can't speak to Brittney's case
Great advice.
specifically, but how complicated is it to help someone in a situation like the one she's in right now?
I think that reaches a level of complication I can't even fathom. What I was doing was simply telling the team, hey, we need to move on out of here for a while and help them.
And you can go ahead and stop this one. So, and he's given great counsel. So I want you to look up this one more. I think it's from another news outlet. Just type in Brittney Griner. I think it's which one you just type in.
ABC, another CNN.
No, it's too long. Good Morning America. Type that way. So what you're seeing is she's getting good counsel. Well, the gentleman is basically, laying out that, hey, we got to get these things together because there's not a precedent for this with the war going on and what have you. So the best thing is to get people back stateside. I think we fully understand that. So what we're seeing now is that with her being jammed up, that there's a precedent for people having dire consequences. And I think in this segment, they're going to lay this out. So this one actually going to be from Good Morning America. So a few more minutes and then I'll end up with my opinion. So without further ado, go ahead.
The safety of WNBA star Brittney Griner. She's detained in Russia facing drug charges after being stopped at an airport with a bag allegedly holding vape cartridges containing hashish oil. James Longman is live in Moscow with the latest and the rising tensions between the U.S. and Russia. Good morning, James.
Yeah, good morning, Robin. Brittney Griner helped lead the U.S. to 2 Olympic golds at the Rio and Tokyo Games, but now she is detained here in Russia. And with the situation in Ukraine complicating matters, there are real concerns for her security. This morning, 7-time WNBA All-Star and 2-time Olympic gold medalist Brittney Griner is in Russian custody.
I gotta say, it's funny how they land her career out because the average American don't give a shit about it. I'm sorry, y'all. I just gotta say it. I gotta keep it real. I give y'all real content over here. The average person would not say, "Oh man, Brittney Griner went to 10 WNBA All-Star games." I do find that a little humorous that that's the way they introduce her. But go ahead. I got to be petty.
Released by Russian customs appears to show the 31-year-old athlete going through airport security near Moscow last month, and the video then shows an employee removing a package from her bag. Russian state media reports vape cartridges containing hashish oil found. Griner was arrested for illicit.
Now I gotta say this. This is just silly, man. Like, is it that important, Brittney, that you gotta go get high, or just not necessarily you smoke to get high, but like Stephen A. would say, is the weed? Is it really worth all that? Is you making them? So allegedly, she made $1 million with her Russian contract. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If Russia's paying me $1 million, I can subdue whatever vice I may have. So with Stephen A., is the weed? Is that worth all that? Is that worth $1 million contract? Ask yourself this. Now, this is nothing I don't hold male athletes to. When male athletes, I know people say stateside, oh, well, weed should be legal. Weed is, okay, I'm not a big weed guy like that. It doesn't move me. But I understand that for a lot of people it does. But the question is always, if the laws state what they state, is it worth your income? Is it worth your livelihood? And most importantly, is it worth your freedom? So Stephen A., I got to give a Stephen A. face on that you're willing to jeopardize 10 years of your freedom for the weed. That's crazy. Go ahead.
Smuggling a narcotic substance, an offence punishable there by up to 10 years in prison.
The disturbing elements of this is the fact that Brittney can be held for years. They will keep her in jail as long as they like and as long as they find it useful for them.
The Phoenix Mercury star has...
So what that translates to is basically as much as the United States government and the Russian government negotiate what's going on, that's how long she'll stay detained. Because as we know, when you rope a whale, as Brittney Griner is, a high-earning, high-profile female athlete, you got the bargaining chips on your side from a Russia perspective. So now we kind of see, what this shakes out as. What it shakes out to as far as diplomatic affairs. So you never really know the full rabbit hole of where all this stuff goes. But from an outer optic standpoint, that's basically what she's saying. And see, a lot of these athletes are spoiled and entitled. I think the rules should be bent for them. Absolutely. And how do I know this? Because your boy Hoop Jargon was an athlete, and I thought a rule should be special for me. I'm just being honest. I thought rules should be special for me. So you would think a multi-millionaire athlete, it ramps up that type of mentality. And it's just true. It's just true. Smooth Mix says, as long as they like, that means a long time. It could potentially, or it could be real swift. But this is where you basically are leaving your freedom up to, diplomacy. You're leaving your freedom up to people making back deal negotiations that have bigger implications. Meaning, if you lock her up for an extended period of time, that means Russia, excuse my French, they give no fucks about where it goes. And they're currently in war right now. So this is kind of like the worst time to be in a bargaining situation, because I don't think Russia cares about PR appearance right now. So that's where we at. And so Smooth also says Russia is corrupt. Well, let me let you in on a secret. Every country in the world is corrupt, especially the one you live in right now, brother. Especially the one you live in right now. Look up unfair court cases. Just when you get time on Google. Our justice system is supposed to be so perfect. Is in prison so many people, it's not even funny, for the silliest reasons. One of which is cannabis, which is now obviously legal in most states. People are still locked up for that. So again, brother, Russia gets in line with all the rest of them, man. Russia, I'm aware most forgivable. Yeah, USA very corrupt. I'm aware, good point. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So we view other countries as worse than us because we live here. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when I played ball overseas, I literally got to hear people from Germany, Switzerland, Portugal say how much they don't like the U.S. And I was like, wow, why would you not like the U.S.? Like, we're the best country in the world. And that may be so in some capacity, with a lot of capacities, but that's not the way other people perceive that. So that's why I say that. It's because in other places, their morals, their standard, their style of living, the way we do over here, way different, and is viewed morally way different. So, for example, in the Far East, they view the way that we attack politics as extremely immoral. Our appetites, like we eating beef. For them, the cow is a sacred animal. For us, that's like a steak. Like that's nothing. Like that's easy work. For them, it's like the greatest dishonor is to eat a what they call like a Brahma bull, which are cows basically. So it's always important to have context with all this stuff, because if you're not, when you apply everything to American standards, you'll lose scope of things, and then you only see it from your perspective. And I think, in my opinion, that's a very reckless way to look at things, to fully understand where other people come from. And to be honest, I never even thought of anybody else's perspective until I lived abroad. And then I saw like, oh, well, damn, people live their own way and they think just as highly as the way they live. And it's not a big deal. Well, the things that we find that's a little bit off-putting, that's just their life. So USA has done much corrupt stuff. I won't mention here politics. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Go ahead.
Russia for the last 7 years during the off-season. Most recently with UMMC Ekaterinburg, earning over $1 million per season, more than quadruple her WNBA salary.
Damn.
It's unclear exactly when in February she was detained. Her last Instagram post dated February 5th. Her agent saying they can confirm that as we work to get her home, her mental and physical health remain our primary concern.
Shout
In a
out to the
2017
building.
interview with ESPN, Griner described feelings of isolation while playing in Russia.
I mean, when you're stuck in it so much, you got to find a positive in it so you're not miserable.
Now the US is urging all American citizens to do.
Now, you know what? Part of me is like, you're a millionaire. I'm not trying to hear about you being miserable. But other part of me knows playing overseas, it does do that to you. Playing abroad, you really have to find yourself many times over, because it's just a lot of downtime you have, and you got to make your downtime good downtime, if that makes sense. Meaning, so here's what I was able to put up with. I remember having a PS3, playing it on a black and white TV, because the converter doesn't convert over the same way. So the one I had, it would turn my PS3, well, it was PS2, I think. I still had the time. 2007. I think it's still a PS2. But it would convert over to black and white in the European way. So, it's just one of those things, man. So you really do have to, it sounds like first world problems, because it is, but you do have to re-find yourself playing ball abroad, because it can mess with you, because there's not a lot to do, especially with people who talk your language, and especially in the way that you like to have entertainment or have fun or hang with people and what have you, because you just don't have that at your disposal so abundantly. Between the Game Sports says, it's the life you chose. There's pros and cons everywhere. She made a decision, absolutely. Accountability in the building.
The country immediately, and the State Department has issued a do not travel advisory. Secretary of State Blinken was asked what the US will do to help her.
Whenever an American is detained anywhere in the world, we of course stand ready to provide every possible assistance, and that includes in Russia.
Griner is now one of at least 3 Americans detained there. The others, Paul Whelan, the former U.S. Marine detained in 2018 and sent.
So now they're setting a backdrop of there's a precedence of people who've been detained in Russia for elongated sentences. So again, this was the political stuff comes into play. So I wonder where the jockeying goes, because she can be detained like these people, and they're about to lay out 2 other Americans who are serving long sentences in Russia. So for the people who think, oh, well, she gonna get off, well, it's a bad look, Putin let them off, don't be so sure of that.
To 16 years in prison on an espionage charge he strongly denied. Former U.S. Marine Trevor Reed, currently serving 9 years for assaulting a police officer, a crime he and his family denies happened, and the U.S. ambassador to Russia said obviously didn't occur. This morning, Reed's parents and sister.
So I'm not gonna lie, that reads to me like horseshit, like assaulting a police officer. Because one thing, when you're an American living abroad, you have a very heightened sense of scaredness. Like, you're not, especially in Russia, like you're way away from home. I would bet my life that assaulting a police officer, what that really looks like was he was at a bar, they both were drinking, they got into it probably because of a woman, and the dude pushed up on him or said something to him crazy, and that dude decked him in the face. And then he pulled that I'm a police officer thing. I would bet my life that's what happened. I would bet my life that's what happened, because that's how those things shake out. And the problem is, in America, you can get off because the burden of proof would be, oh, did you identify yourself? Oh, were you undercover? Everybody doesn't roll like that. There are some countries i.e. communistic countries that put a lot of onus on the authority of authorities, meaning the burden of proof is on you explaining yourself out of it. It's not on the officer. So we got to understand everybody does not practice democracy. They don't. So again, I would bet my life that's how that played out, because I know it wasn't how they say. But at the end of the day, you're on their soil. You don't dictate the terms. Go ahead.
Daily, he's running a fever. He has pain in his lungs, and he has asked to be tested and asked for treatment for TB from the prison, and they have denied it for an extended. Which
takes me to another side point. In these other abroad prison situations, you don't get humane treatment, quote unquote, of what we would compare to what we get here. So these things have to be considered when you go abroad. And this goes for everybody listening to this podcast and beyond. When you go overseas, you don't dictate the terms. You don't bring your democracy over to them and expect them to abide by what you think. You got to understand that you're in a land that is sovereign on its own. They have their own ways of life. They have their own ways of punishment, their own ways of justice. And you got to kind of deprogram a little bit to get a greater scope of what you're dealing with. And unfortunately, in these cases, these fellow Americans have misread or had missteps. And unfortunately, it's cost them their freedom in certain capacities.
Out of time. We will not stop fighting until he is back home with us.
I don't know what you mean by fighting. You can't fight nothing but just talk shit on camera, but whatever. You call that fight, just fighting.
Try to use her to get something from the West. I don't.
Bingo. What I say. Diplomacy comes in now. Brittney Griner has become a chess piece now. So Putin, if he does release him, I would bet my bottom dollar it's going to be at the U.S. has to acquiesce something back. So be on the lookout for this storyline. This is actually a sleeping giant of a storyline.
I don't think he will succeed because we don't generally bargain with the lives of American citizens.
This, as Griner's loved ones await her safe return, her wife posting on Instagram, "I love my wife wholeheartedly, so this message comes during one of the weakest moments of my life. Please honor our privacy as we continue to work on getting my wife home safely."
I don't know what you mean if you cut it. Oh, wait. Let me hear this last part.
To allow representatives from the U.S. Embassy here to visit U.S. citizens who are detained. It's unclear whether that's happened yet, but clearly the situation in Ukraine could complicate that process. Robin.
Thank you so much, Jaron. So we hope all the.
So, man, talk about bad timing. Just the worst timing to get jammed up with something like this. That I'm sure that normally, a few I's get dotted, a few T's get crossed. You make it right, you pay a fine, and you come home. But now, in the turmoil that they have going, with Ukraine, not the best time, man. And again, as I led in with, I hate this for Brittney because, again, a fellow Houston athlete. This is a person who played in the same school district I played in. Come out of Chester Nimitz High School. It sucks, man. It really does. And it's something that, unfortunately, you can't control with your money. You can't control with your influence. You're at the mercy of the Russian justice system and the Russian dictatorship. That is Vladimir Putin. That's reality. So, Margarina says, so true. One need to abide with the rules and stay in your lane. Else stay where you live or stay where you live. It's that simple. I mean, at the end of the day, she makes $250,000 a year. That's what decent level doctors make. It's enough to make a living. It's enough to make a living. No, damn that. It's enough to make a damn good living, making that kind of money. So you chose to go over there and make your $1 million contract, which I don't begrudge you at all. Like, you supposed to cash in on your talents as much as you can, but you got to understand, when you're in a different land, you got to be a different man. So when you're playing abroad in a place like Russia, when you're playing in the Middle East, and I remember this too, when I played overseas, I almost had a chance to go to Bahrain, which is in the Middle East. And I remember they sent me the thing of the rules you got to abide by there. And pretty much you can't do anything. So now, at that time in my life, I didn't drink. I didn't like that. I didn't do nothing. But so it was cool. But I just think now as an older man, having to do that, man, it would be hard to adhere to all those principles, but I would have to. And it's not, again, You don't get that good old glossed over American clemency. Well, you get a mulligan. Oh, well, it's a good person. Oh, well, I know their family, and a judge will, maybe will be lenient towards you and your situation. You don't get that in other places of the world. It's pretty cut and dry. So let's put it this way. Over here, a lot of people get mad when like a cop may pull us over for going like a mile over the speed limit. Well, it's only a mile over, man. Which, that's kind of how we're conditioned to view things like that. It's a slap on the wrist. Like, why are we having this conversation? But other places, the letter of the law means the letter of the law. You're 1 mile over, you sped. And that's it. There's no negotiation. There's no talking. We're not used to living under those principles because we're given, latitude in a lot of ways. And unfortunately, Brittney is serving as a crazy example of how not to be when you are not living under your own rules. And she ain't the only one who's gone through this. There's other players overseas that have done some crazy stuff and got detained. Some of which is a brother. He played in Brazil. He actually got killed over dealing with some drug dealers on some just petty stuff. Got killed. Paid with his life. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to know where you're at, and you got to know that your way, that's cool, but it does not supersede the law of the land. So I wanted to make that be the underlying message of this. And so I want to say this too before we leave. If you like what's going on over Hoop Jargon, man, and shout out to my man, Little Big Nate. If you want to pay for the product, my Cash App link is on the bottom. If you want to super chat, it does help. I build my channel with all the support I get, so I appreciate that. I'm going to make a Discord so we can have these conversations off the me being live. So like I said, I've been ramping up this the support of what's going on, ramping up my production. So I want y'all to really enjoy this channel, have open dialogue on these things at a high level. That's why I don't have open panels all the time, because I want people to come on who know what they're speaking about, because I want y'all to understand things at a higher clip. And not saying that you don't. It's just, you know how it goes, guys, with the YouTube game. You don't know until you know. So I really want this to be a place where you get some real knowledge, that you go to the water cooler and you know what you're talking about. Because I learned it off Hoop Jargon's channel. Not just, people just up here just talking crazy stuff just cause. You understand what I'm saying? So please like the stream on the way out. Subscribe if you're not done so. And y'all just keep patronizing the page. I love the fact that, what y'all do here. And so I'm going to let LeVar take us home. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.
Shout out to Hoop Jargon, man. I'm going to add you to the crew, man. This crew called Hoop Jargon. They've been getting at it, man. They the ones that's going to grill you, man, because they majority are all Houston people. So that's
shout out to Hoop Jargon. Man, I'm here with my man with Hoop Jargon, the best in the game, man. And I only let selected few in my circle. And this is the real dude right here. We gonna get down with the get down.